Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going back to a classic walkthrough on Manhattan Bridge playing support. This ended up being one of those rounds where everything seemed to click. We finished with 39 kills, 13 deaths, 11 objective captures, and most importantly helped secure the win. For those of you who are new to the channel, I'm not a pro player, so this isn't about insane KD ratios or crazy movement. Instead I'll be talking through my positioning, why I'm choosing certain routes, when I'm pushing objectives, and the decisions I'm making throughout the match. If you're someone who plays Battlefield after work or on the weekends or just wants to improve without treating the game like a second job, hopefully you'll pick up a few ideas you can use in your own matches, and please feel free to share your own tips down below. With that said, let's jump into the loadout. Alright, for the loadout today, before we get into the main gun, I'm still using the M44, the defibrillators. I use the smoke to help with the revives, still got the frag grenade, and of course the melee knife. So for the gun, I'm using the M16A4 from this season. I got the 2.5x scope, the brake, the cryo barrel, which there's some discussion as to whether this is actually useful or worth it given the points that it requires. Stubby grip, 30 round magazine, and standard ammunition, along with the full auto attachment. All right, let's hop straight into this one. So we joined a little late. Most of the objectives already been captured. And so for this walkthrough, I'm going to focus a bit on describing kind of how I see my role when I play a specific class. I saw a few comments in some of my previous videos about, people not exactly knowing their role in a match. And my one feedback is that role changes based off of what game mode you're playing. So here we're obviously playing Escalation, which is a bit more chaotic, kind of, 360 degree action rather than down alleyways and corridors like you'd get in Breakthrough. And I think that kind of impacts how you handle your class. So in this case, playing support on a game mode like this, I tend to focus on using my smokes while still emphasizing pushing objectives. So you're obviously still looking for revives and trying to keep your team in it while also pushing the objectives. Whereas if I'm playing something like Breakthrough, which I'll do a walkthrough on that with support in the future, I tend to play a little bit more conservative and try to keep people in the match, so really focusing on the revives. So like you can see here, there are tons of people that are down, but because this is a highly contested objective, I'm going to kind of try to focus on keeping our momentum here rather than just trying to go and get a bunch of revives. So pretty quick action in this match. Just trying to stay alive here, see if we can get a revive. Throw down the smokes to get rid of that line of sight for others. And then always staying low, trying to keep your body, minimal exposure for others to see you. Especially right here where it's highly contested. You're in a central objectives, there's corridors from every direction. If you're just standing up in the middle, obviously you're easy target, get picked off. So again, as I always say, I'm always keeping an eye on that bottom mini-map, checking that constantly, and that's something you just have to practice and get good at, or get comfortable with, I should say, is just continuously looking down, taking in information as much as you can, especially on these highly contested objectives, because you're going to notice enemies appearing on all sides. This happens quite frequently. Whereas if you're playing something like Breakthrough, you'll see a very unidirectional people in front, or maybe an occasional flank, but it's usually a little bit easier to tell what direction people are coming from. So notice I jump up on the rail there. The point there is just to throw off someone if they come around the corner. They're going to be aiming or pre-aiming where they think you are. And so getting in just kind of an awkward random position can kind of throw those people off and, potentially save you from a headshot. Here I'm taking advantage of mounting the gun on the side just to kind of hold this corridor. I had seen previously on the minimap, there's a bunch of people coming from this direction. So we're just trying to hold the lane. And with Escalation, again, it's always about obviously maintaining the most objectives, but also maintaining the momentum. And on a map like Manhattan Bridge, that often means holding those central objectives like D and C where we are. So seeing that we have the majority of the objectives, my mindset is really to kind of stay put and keep that momentum going. And just as I say that, I saw some of my teammates trying to make a push on one of the back objectives, so I decided to spawn on them to see if I could help out. And I'd end up dying here pretty quick, but let's see if I can get the revive. He gave it a shot. We got a medic there, nice. So we got the numbers. I'm just being patient, let my health regenerate. Try to notify that guy that I'd come revive him, but he didn't want to wait, and that's fine. That's one tip I recommend people when you play support, is if you hover over the marker of a teammate, you can actually ping them and tell them, basically give them a signal that you're going to come. You might just be kind of holding for a second, waiting for an enemy to show himself before you just run out there. So it's a nice way to just notify them, like, you see them, you're coming, just give me a second.
Let's move.
And I think this goes without saying, but oftentimes when you play a support, you'll see time and time again, even I do that make this mistake, is you really just try to rush that revive, and in doing so you can end up kind of killing your teammate, because if they're just, their body's exposed and you revive them really quick, they end up dying again and then they can't be revived. So oftentimes it's good to pull them behind cover, which I think many of you already are aware of that, but for any of you who don't know, you can walk up to them, and it'll give you kind of the indicator of what button to press, whether you're on mouse or keyboard or controller. So here I'm looking at the mini-map. I saw there was a guy right on the other side, and I can see we have a pretty good number pushing B, so I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive here and pushing as well. And here again, I'm just minimizing my exposure, putting down the supply pack so people can replenish their ammo while we wait to capture. So throw down my smoke to get a revive, and then get back out. So now we captured B. I always try to move back more central. Unless you have complete momentum and you're just push the enemy back into their spawn, I tend to kind of keep moving. There's no point to stay on B unless they're immediately taking it back over, because if you can move back central, you can actually react quicker. So I moved more central, then I saw E was being taken, so I'm able to react to that. Hoping to get this revive. Let's see if our teammate waits. He does.
Let's go.
I'm going to take a different angle, because the enemy would have seen that I performed that revive, so there's no point running out that way. And you can see we get these two quick pickoffs. See if we can get the revive again. So now they know where we are, so we're going to play this a little more carefully, throw down a med pack, be patient, and now we got the numbers. Let my teammates know I saw a guy up there. The ping system's not super helpful in this game. I kind of wish they would improve that. But it does seem like they're reactive in these updates, the developers, so it's been nice to see them kind of addressing some of the complaints a lot of the players have had. One thing I think that still needs to be addressed largely is the TTK. Very quick deaths in this game, and when the netcode is still spotty, you're dying behind cover too many times. So I think that's something they really need to address. I personally have felt after the most recent update, this is feeling more and more like a sim game where it's just, you gotta play it even a little more safer than normal, which I get that's kind of part of Battlefield, but also Battlefield still has a little bit of that arcadey feel. And when you're dying so quick, it makes it a little difficult. Like that guy just went down real fast. I think he may have been had lower health, but still. So I'm not really liking this angle. I think there's too much verticality here for the enemy to pick me off if I run out. So just trying to pre-aim it, see if there's anyone that's obvious to pick off first. And I'm going to try to take the high ground here. Got help from the teammates, so now I feel a bit more comfortable. Someone parachuted in. I think he's right above us. I think that was a good example of don't underestimate shooting at little birds and helicopters, because your guns actually do damage. And so you can see right there, you know, I wasn't the main cause of him going down, but it did put pressure on him, and he couldn't just kind of hang out there and pick us all off. So starting the round 16-2, not bad from a KD perspective, but only about 5 captures, so we kind of want to start being a little more aggressive here on the objectives. I've been caught in no man's land a few times here. Trying to wait a second here to see if we can get that spawn, but it's not really working. So as a result, we kind of spawn out in no man's land. It's not great. Could have been good to be a little bit more patient to get a more central spawn there. Now we're going to push more central like we've been discussing. One thing I always try to practice, and it doesn't always work because sometimes you're playing with opponents who don't fall for it, but I always try to keep the enemy guessing. So the path you take and the routes and the how you're peeking corners. If you do the classic standard approach and you go down the same corridors each time, it makes it really easy to predict where you're going to be, and the enemy can pre-aim quite easily. But if you throw them off just slightly, like what I did earlier where I jump up on a rail to peek a corner rather than just peeking it on ground, that can be enough of a difference maker to help you win a few more fights. So I didn't ping him to come because I wasn't sure if I was going to. Now I'm just going to go for it. They're both waiting. Get both. And I think I've mentioned this in the past, and I think most of you probably know this, but if you can, it's always good to hold down your defibrillators for a full charge because that brings back your friendly with full health. But of course, if you're in a hot zone and you need to just get the quick revive, you can just tap it, but they'll come back with, I believe, half health. So it's something you kind of have to make a judgment call. Tried to hip fire, missed most of those shots. We had the numbers pushing B, but it looks like we all got picked off. So we'll have to kind of regroup here. But we got someone pushing C, so I'm going to go join him. It's one thing I always try to emphasize, especially in a game like Battlefield, where they really do want you to play... Oh, I didn't see the guy prone there. They'd really want you to play squad-based mechanics. So if you see a squad member pushing an objective and he's unnoticed, meaning he hasn't been shot at yet, it's a great idea to spawn on them and give the numbers. Your other teammates might end up spawning on you. And look what happened here with C. Basically half our team came up here in the end. So again, now we need to start thinking about pushing more central here. Just scouting it out before I jump. I'm going to go for it. Be a little bit aggressive here. D is a crucial one in this map to maintain control. So again, here's one of those examples where I'm trying to, confuse people where I am. I'm up on a irregular place, not on the ground, not on the classic ledge. I'm up on a random ledge that a lot of people probably don't even know you can get up on. Just trying to pick some people off here before we move in. So looking at the minimap, I saw this guy come in. There's one more in the corridor. So I'm going to be patient here. He might run out. Yep, he does. Got him. Another guy right around the steps here. Oh, I got picked up from behind. But that was pretty good. That was a good example of using the minimap to your advantage and being patient. So picked off the first guy I saw on the minimap. He got some damage on me, so I put down the health pack to regenerate a little bit. And in doing so, the other guy I had seen on the minimap ran out. I was able to take him out. And then we saw a third guy that popped up that was an easy kill. So I saw two enemies above me based off of their non-solid orange dots on the minimap with an upwards arrow. Means they're at a higher elevation than me. Got one of them, but the other picked me off. Just kind of assessing the map. You can see we're missing the central momentum here, so we're going to try to spawn our teammate, try to push towards D. Using the tank for cover before I just run in there. Usually when you get later in the round, this D objective, all of the cover is blown away. You can see there's not much to hide behind. So a good chunk of our team had the same idea. We got a lot of numbers here. We should be able to capture this pretty easily. Switch the momentum back. So it's always good to remember when you're playing support to always throw down your ammo pack or health pack. It does both. Not just for yourself, but also for your teammates. I like to throw it down for myself as well, just because I want to get more grenades. You can hold 2 grenades, but by default you start with 1. So if you're just sitting behind cover, being patient, might as well throw down your pack and start working towards, you know, increasing your ammo count. So here again, I'm using just kind of a ledge here to have a unique angle. Forces them to look up. So they end up still picking me off, but still gives you kind of that unique viewpoint. You also have a little bit of verticality there, so you're kind of looking down on them. So I saw them picking off C, so I'm going to try to sneak up behind here. See if we can stop that capture. Looks like our teammates did. Oh, I thought that was a teammate. That was weird. Looks like we're losing C again. Did I spawn in time? Yes. So they're going to end up capturing this, and I'm going to be careful before running up there, because almost guaranteed people are going to start spawning up there immediately. C is always a popular spawn point, because you can jump off and parachute to most places on the map. So again, just being patient here, seeing if we can get some numbers. We have a down teammate up there, but nobody else really coming. So it might be a little bit trickier. The opponent ended up tying it here. So I'm jumping off and taking a different angle. If I can get up, let's see. Just barely. Yeah, if I hadn't taken the damage on the way up, that could have been a good route change. So I was going to spawn on E, but it looks like we have it under control, so I'm going to go D. So there's some more central here that we can push towards C. And almost certainly the enemy is going to be pushing into D here pretty quick. Yep, and here they come. So now I'm just trying to pick an angle here. See one guy there going prone. One guy's in the room. Looks like we got him. So now in a game like Escalation, when it's tied and you get to the end, especially on Manhattan Bridge, there's only 3 objectives left, so you just need 2 out of the 3. We have 2 of the 3, and we have the strong 2 out of the 3, so it's really just now about maintaining. You can push C to kind of put the pressure on them, but at the end of the day, you know, you can really just hang back here and really put down a defense and just try to buy time. Oh, so I didn't see the guy up above. See, that's a good example of losing to someone who had a good angle, where I wasn't looking up there, I was looking at my eye level, and so I didn't see him immediately, and he had the upper hand there. So we got a nice little spawn back here that could help us put pressure on E, but I did see there was someone on the mini map hanging out back here, picking people off. Just trying to see if he's here. Yep, there he is. Ran in there to get the final capture points. Now I see people dying upstairs, so I'm going to try to get the revive, but it also means someone might be up here. Looks like we're good. Looks like they cleared it. Okay, now we're pushing D. You can see they're pushing D. We got to maintain that. So at this point, watching the mini-map, I don't see anything. Keeping an eye out. Someone just popped up behind me. Yeah, he got a nice little flank there. He'll probably pick off a few of us. Yeah, one recommendation I have as support is to always keep your head on a swivel, because people do get mad when you're not reviving, and for good reason. I mean, knowing your role, I think that's your primary role. Keep people's health going with your packs and their ammo full, and keep the revives coming. Obviously, you don't need to revive everyone like we've been discussing. If they're out in the open and there's cover fire everywhere, you're not going to be able to get those revives, but you got to keep an eye out and make sure you're not missing those easy ones. I fall victim to that all the time, and you know, Your teammates will let you know. Saw a tank coming, so we're gonna divert back. They got 2 tanks on either side now. Trying to be patient here and hold this line. I feel like oftentimes when there's a tank, the infantry will kind of use that to their advantage and push as well. Now I have 2 tanks over here, so I'm going to be a little bit more patient, try to hide a bit more. Let's see if we can get this revive. Oh, it's risky for him, he's probably going to die. Put down the med pack. So now they're pushing from multiple angles, which makes it tough here. Let's see if we can get in there quick, although it looks like we still have the numbers, although someone snuck behind to get E, so we're going to go back there. We don't want to lose E. That could really swing this whole match, even though we're close to winning. Pick one of them off there. So they had quite a bit of numbers that pushed back here, so now I'm going to take this a little bit safer. I think we'll have time. Our team's coming in to help with E. We just want to make sure these guys don't keep picking us off. Yeah, they're really up at here. So we got triple kill there, that was nice. Looks like we cleared it out for the most part. One guy just popped up behind me. But we're going to take care of this guy first. See if we can get the revive. Nice. So that was a huge little play right there. Cleared the room. They would have probably taken that had we not gotten all those guys out. They had the good vantage down on E. They must have some spawn beacons around here because they keep spawning. Lots of numbers. So that was pretty big. That could have swung the momentum there had they been able to capture E. And so maintaining that was a big one. Man, they have the numbers, so they had to have had some spawn beacons down. Let's go back to E. It seems like they're still hanging around. Looks like we might have this one, but you can see they're taking E. And sometimes Escalation's won like this, where you think you have it, but at the last second they swing it. So I want to try to prevent that here. And that's going to do it for this one. Leave a comment down below if you found this walkthrough useful, or if you have any tips that have helped you improve along the way. As always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like and subscribe if you want to see more. Be sure to spread some positivity, and I'll see you in the next one.